welcome back. I'm Nikki. I'm a homeschooling mom to an only child in 3rd grade. Today I want to talk to you about our first quarter wrap up. Holy crap, how did we just finish a quarter? Wow. If that is something that interests you, keep watching. All right, so we started school in July. So our quarters are about 10 weeks long. Typically, they can range. I don't really put like an end line on it or anything like that. And technically, I don't even need to have a quarter system, but mentally, I like to have that in there. So let's chat. This quarter was rough, let me tell you. A lot of changes, a lot of new things, a lot of just changing to see what works best for our family. And it's really hard when I come on here and I'm like so excited about something and then it doesn't work. Because it's true, I can get really excited about things that I think are going to work in our homeschool until we actually get it in our homeschool and we start doing it. And I realize something about it is just not working. Keep in mind that curriculum is used as a tool. You can use certain things from curriculums and piece together other things. Like, that is the beauty of homeschool. You could do whatever you want. And so it's kind of what I do, as at least this year. I kind of always have, but this year, most importantly. So things are already changing again in our homeschool. So we started out, if you've seen my videos, we were doing BJU English 3, and we are no longer doing BJU English 3. It was a little too vigorous for us, and it was causing tears and frustration, and it was taking us a really long time to get through a lesson. And there's so many lessons in that book that if we would have taken our time and spread the lessons out to do like a lesson twice, or take one lesson and do it over a period of 2 days, we would have never ever gotten done with the book in like 2 years. So I scrapped it. We are back to using the good and the beautiful language arts. So that was a bit of a rough one for me to do, because I just couldn't find what I was looking for, and I went back to something familiar. She actually requested to go back to that, so I did. We are not using the entire curriculum wholly. I do not have the spelling book, but I do have the readers. So we just finished up Timothy of the 10th floor, and I'm not sure which one comes next, but anyways, so we're doing it, but we're just picking and choosing the things that we do out of it. She does do the art. She likes the art. She likes the geography piece and stuff like that. So we were doing Apologia math, and that is no longer the case either. So we actually jumped around quite a bit. We went from Apologia level 3 back to the good and the beautiful level 3, and that was a hard pass. It was tears, it was frustration, it was a ton of stuff on a page, and it was just so much overwhelm. And I felt like she just wasn't learning the concepts, and I didn't like the order in which they were doing things on level 3. So we went back to Apologia. And I did really like Apologia, do not get me wrong. Honestly, if we would go back again, I would be content. It is very basic. It is very simple. It is very easy to understand. And it's very to the point. Very little on a page and very little practice problems for the child to do, which is what I thought she really, truly needed at the time. And then something I was noticing is that they're not really applying a lot of real life scenarios like the good and the beautiful does. So instead of going back to the good and the beautiful, my friend sent me over Math with Confidence, and we started that, and I said, you know what, like, I don't love this one either just by looking at it, but only because it was so heavy manipulative based. And so I wanted to get away from that, because The Good and the Beautiful used to be that way as well for math. And this looked very overwhelming to me. So instead, we are just sticking with Math with Confidence. I am piecing through that and using it as it comes. I just put up a video, or I don't know if it'll be before this or after. I think, oh, it'll be after. So you'll be seeing this next week, where I do a whole review thus far on our Math with Confidence. So look forward to that. We were doing Apology of Science, Zoology, and let me tell you, I had really high hopes for this. And honestly, I think it would work best if we had the new version. The old version is so wordy. I'm talking, you do 2 lessons a week, day 1 and day 2, which is their like planned out lesson plan. And it's a lot of reading, whether you're listening or not. It's a lot of reading, and I am not a fan of the notebooks. The notebooks to me feel very like busy work. We were picking and choosing what we were doing in there, and I didn't need to use it for copy work and scripture and all this other stuff. So it felt like if I were to choose, I would take that all away and just have your own notebook process however you want to take notes with your kid. I do not think the notebooks are worth it, in my opinion. Now, we have the original Zoology edition. So I know that they're redoing the editions and they're coming out with a new version or a new edition. And they have not done the Zoology land animals yet. They did the birds one, I believe. So maybe it is better and less wordy in the new one. But my friend is doing earth science, I think. And the book that she has showed me is like a world of a different compared to ours, and way less wordy. It had an activity almost every time, every day. And that was not the case in ours, or at least it was like, it just wasn't the same. So that was a big letdown for me. So we are no longer doing that right now. Plus she was getting really bored of, like, even though she loves animals, she just was not interested, and she wanted more hands-on and more something. And that's how I felt too. It just kind of felt like something was missing. The experiments were okay. The kit is necessary that the nature workshop provides. I do think they're worth it because it gives you all the supplies and stuff for all the experiments. But like, you have to get through like 20 pages of reading before you get to the experiment. And legit, like, no joke, that's how many pages. And the audiobooks, in my opinion, are really crappy. Not the person talking, but if you stop the audio at any time, there is no way that I have found that you can pick back up in that same exact spot. I don't know if there's like, if you can download it onto some sort of reader, but I was just using the MP3 like player or whatever in my files on my phone, because that is where it's convenient for me. Now, I think we did it on the computer and it was the same. So unless there's a way to do that, it was really difficult unless we plan to listen to that entire chapter in one sitting, which is a lot. It's a lot, let me tell you. And timestamps would have been a nice thing as well. If they added that, that would be great, but you know, whatever. So we have stopped Zoology. We are going on to, I know what you're thinking already, but we are doing The Good and the Beautiful. So we are doing Health and the Physical Body 3 through 8 unit study. I believe this has like 14 lessons. And we are doing this with a group of people. So that is why we chose to go this route, because then we could do science with friends. So we just started. We've only done 2 lessons, and we're meeting about once a week. So that is exciting for us because that kind of takes the pressure off of me just doing it, although that would be fine too. It's just something fun for us to be involved in. What else? Moss DOS. So Moss DOS we are still continuing to do, and I'm loving Moss DOS. I love the stories. I think the content is rich. I think the workbook is a little bit of busy work, but it does include vocabulary. And the way that they do the vocabulary is chef's kiss. I love it. And it gets her to think a little bit, and some of it is thinking a little bit out of the box. But the theme of like story, setting, plot, all of that is playing a role. And we don't always do those things, so don't get me wrong, and we only do it once a week. Writing. I have incorporated Winning with Writing by Jack Chris Publishing, and game changer, y'all. Game changer. She actually wants to do more because usually the pages are really short. It's just like a page a day. But the way it's like dumbed down and explained with ease, it just, in the flow between lessons and stuff like that is just so good. It's so good, and it's black and white, and I hate that. But she's really enjoying it, so I'm letting it go. And if it's something that's working, I'm keeping it. What else? Still doing History Chronicles. Love History Chronicles. Some of it's a little brutal, and some of it goes over her head still at this age, but honestly, like, I think any kind of history is going to go over her head a little bit. It's a lot to wrap your head around. And it's a tough subject. So I did a whole video on History Chronicles, but my favorite part is this little 5-minute exercise where we have these timeline sheets, and I printed ours on sticker paper. So we have our own timeline book, and whenever we need to, I go in and I cut the sticker out, and she just places it in the timeline. And I love that. It's so simple because it's already pre-made for us. I don't have to go through extremes. And then we created our own notebook for history. And so I'm printing out stuff and scaling down pictures off of Google, and we're just creating a visual notebook for each chapter that we do. So if, like, we just did mummies. Rest in peace, Barbie. And that was a section of our notebook. So we talked about mummies a little bit and just wrote a sentence or two and put a picture in there. So it's going to give her like a timeline, and it's going to give her like everything we've learned thus far. So she really enjoys doing that. And I'm trying to think of what else I can incorporate notebooking in because she's very into it. Overall, this has been a rough start of a year, but everything's working out now. And I feel like we're finally in a rhythm. We're finally in a flow. We could be done with math and language arts within a half an hour. And from there, she has her morning work. We're doing Horizon spelling. She writes an affirmation sentence, and we do a major event story or a Bible story or something like that. And handwriting. Handwriting is going great too. That's what Zaner blows her. And 50 states. So 50 states we are doing once a week. We do 1 state per week. So we are likely not going to finish in this year, and I might even take a break with that around Christmas whenever we break for that. And I don't know if we'll continue that in the spring or if I'm going to start alternating between history and geography instead of doing both, because we only do history once a week and we only do geography once a week. I don't know. I have to play with that. I have other types of studies that I really want to do, like our financial literacy unit. So I really want to focus on that after Christmas. And I have a writing book that I want to incorporate as well from Evan Moore that looks really, really good and promising, that I've had for a while now, and we just haven't done it. So there's some things that I want to piece in because I can. But everything is going so well, except my voice right now. I'm sorry. Excuse me. So overall, our quarter was good. It started out really rough for the first month because we were trying to figure out which curriculum worked, and I was literally going nuts and second guessing myself and thinking, oh my God, should I do this? Should I do that? And honestly, the takeaway here is this. No matter...
Sorry, could you say that again?
Siri. No matter what you choose for your curriculum, your child is going to learn. And thank you, Ashley, for reminding me of that, because I was starting to lose myself in the fact that was I not doing enough? Am I doing too much? And I was, second guessing all of the different types of lessons and how they were being taught. And I know that's part of it, right? That's what we do as a homeschool mom. But I needed to take that pressure off and just go, you know what? Math with confidence is going to be enough for us this year. And if we don't like it at the end of the year, we don't have to go back to it. But we have to stick to something because she needs something. And honestly, I don't see us sticking with math with confidence after this year. At least for the way things are taught, the verbiage isn't the way I was wishing it to be, and there's just so many manipulatives and games that are not always necessary. So my gut is saying to go back to Apologia after this year, because then we'll have the foundational stuff solid, and then we'll be building from there. We finished 2 books, 2 read aloud books this quarter. We finished Winn-Dixie and Heartwood Hotel. Both were fantastic reads. I can't wait to watch the movie for Winn-Dixie, as we are actually finishing that book up this week. But when you're seeing this, it will have been done. I signed up for Homeschool Planet, which is an online planner. It is fantastic. If you didn't see that video, go check it out of mine. I love Homeschool Planet. It is well worth the subscription. Saves all my planning and time and crunches it down to literally 5 to 10 minutes per week. So it's great. So that is a wrap. I mean, we are freaking done with first quarter, and it's exciting and scary. And I'm excited to dive into the newest Wild Robot for a read aloud. And our next quarter will have Where the Red Fern Grows, I think, is our next book that we're going to be reading, or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I haven't quite decided. But our next quarter is also going to go right before we break for the holidays. So during the holidays, I'll have a whole other thing on what we plan to do, which is probably not a whole lot of anything because it never works out for us. After we're done, this should wrap up in this next quarter. And then after that, I have another science unit I want to do from Gather Round. So that is it. I talked a lot and I talked fast, and hopefully that gives you an idea. I know I was all over the place, and I'm sorry, but when you go into a new year and a new everything, everything I chose for our curriculum this year was brand spanking new. We had never used it, and I didn't know what I was doing. So we figured out what worked and what didn't, and that's just what you have to do sometimes when you're starting to transition into new things. So it is what it is. Yeah, that's it, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a like, subscribe down below, and I'll see you in my next video.